clouds to start us off out there. Temperatures staying in the high 40s. Tomorrow's forecast will be in the 60s. Beaches staying around 62.
September 11, 2001. A day of blue skies over New York City turned into fire, smoke, and collapse. A day when the strongest nation on Earth was brought to its knees in less than 2 hours. 2 towers, symbols of power reduced to dust. A gaping hole in the Pentagon, the beating heart of U.S. defense. And a plane torn apart in a Pennsylvania field after ordinary people became heroes in the sky. Nearly 3,000 souls gone, millions traumatized, and billions watching in disbelief. But as the smoke cleared, another cloud began to rise. A cloud of questions. Questions that, 20 years later, still haunt us. Because when you look closer, the story of 9/11 isn't just tragedy. It's mystery. It's power. It's money. And it may even be something darker. Some of what you're about to hear is the official story. Some are theories wild, controversial, even hated. None of it is presented as absolute fact. But all of it has been asked. And all of it deserves to be heard. Imagine it's a normal Tuesday morning. People grabbing coffee, rushing to work, kids in school. Then, at 8:46 a.m., the unthinkable happens. Boom. American Airlines Flight 11 slams into the North Tower. Smoke pours into the sky. At first, confusion. An accident? A freak tragedy? 17 minutes later, 9:03 a.m. The world sees it live. Flight 175 slices into the South Tower like a missile. Fireball. Screams. Panic. This is no accident. America is under attack. 9:37 a.m. Flight 77 tears through the Pentagon, the fortress of the U.S. military.
An explosion, and right now we're looking at an aerial view of the Pentagon.
9:59 a.m. The South Tower collapses. In 56 minutes, a skyscraper built to withstand hurricanes, fire, and even earthquakes turns into rubble. 10:03 a.m. Flight 93 crashes into a Pennsylvania field. After passengers fight back, did they save the Capitol? The White House? No one knows for sure. 10:28 a.m. The North Tower falls. New York is covered in dust. The skyline is destroyed. In just 102 minutes, the strongest nation in the world was left stunned, scared, and asking, what just happened?
There are no words.
America strikes back. Afghanistan is pounded with bombs and missiles from the air and sea.
The U.S. government gave its answer quickly. 19 hijackers, Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden. The motive: strike fear into the heart of America. Punish the U.S. for its military bases in the Middle East. Show the world that even the mighty superpower could bleed. The response? The war on terror. Troops in Afghanistan. Then, Iraq. Trillions spent. Millions of lives changed forever. It's a story that makes sense on paper. But for millions of people, it left cracks filled with suspicion, disbelief, and theories that refuse to die.
sources tell NBC News this first round of airstrikes could last 3 or 4 days. The most immediate objective, to disarm and disable the Taliban military, to permit opposition groups to take control. That would make it safer then for U.S. Special Forces to hunt down and root out Osama bin Laden and his terrorist cells.
Here's where the story of 9/11 gets darker, more complicated, and honestly, more shocking. Let's talk about the theories. Theory 1. Controlled demolition. The towers and building 7. Let's start with the most famous theory. The buildings didn't just fall, they were taken down. Watch the footage. Both towers collapse straight down into their own footprint at almost free-fall speed. They don't tip over like a tree. They don't fall unevenly. They collapse perfectly, like a controlled demolition. Then there's the infamous Building 7, 47 stories tall, standing just north of the Twin Towers. Never hit by a plane. At 5:20 p.m., hours after the attacks, it crumbles in seconds. Eyewitnesses, firefighters, survivors, even journalists reported explosions in the basements of the towers before they fell. Some said they heard multiple booms as if charges were going off floor by floor. And here's the kicker. Never before, in the history of steel skyscrapers, had fire alone brought down a building like that. The official report says heat weakened the steel, but skeptics point to the footage and say, "This doesn't look like fire. This looks like demolition." So was it just physics? Or was something planted inside those buildings long before September 11th? Theory 2. The Pentagon Mystery. At 9:37 a.m., the Pentagon, the most heavily guarded building on the planet, was hit. The official story: American Airlines Flight 77, a Boeing 757. But skeptics ask, where's the proof? The hole in the building was about 65 feet wide. The 757's wingspan? Over 120 feet. Shouldn't there be marks of the wings, the tail, the engines? Yet the damage looks like a single punch, not a 200 zero-pound jet. And then, the wreckage. Or rather, the lack of it. Unlike New York, where steel beams and massive debris were everywhere, photos of the Pentagon show only small scraps of metal. No full fuselage, no wings, no seats, no luggage. Even stranger, most security camera footage from around the Pentagon, including cameras from nearby hotels and gas stations, was immediately seized by the FBI. Only a handful of blurry frames were released, showing nothing conclusive. So the question lingers. Did a Boeing 757 really hit the Pentagon? Or was it something else, a smaller craft, a drone, even a missile? The government says there's no mystery, but the secrecy around the footage keeps this theory alive. Theory 3. Flight 93. Heroism or shoot-down? Flight 93 is remembered as a story of courage. Passengers hearing about the other hijackings, deciding they weren't going to let it happen again. The battle in the sky. Let's roll. The plane crashing in Pennsylvania. But for some, the evidence tells a different story. Debris was found scattered across several miles. A main crater? Yes, but also parts of the plane. Even human remains, far away from the impact zone. That kind of spread is usually seen when an aircraft explodes in midair, like when it's shot down. And eyewitnesses reported seeing a streak in the sky, like a missile, moments before the crash. The official line is crystal clear. No shoot-down orders were ever carried out. But if Flight 93 was shot down, it would mean the U.S. military had to make the most horrifying choice imaginable. Sacrifice a few to save thousands. So which story is true? heroism in the sky, or a cover-up on the ground. Theory 4. Inside Job. The false flag claim. This is the mother of all 9/11 theories. The claim that 9/11 wasn't just an attack from the outside, it was an inside job. The idea: factions within the US, government, or powerful groups allowed the attacks, or even orchestrated them, as a pretext. A false flag operation. Why would they do that? 3 big reasons are usually given. 4. 9/11 gave the US the green light to invade Afghanistan and later Iraq. Wars that had been discussed years before suddenly made possible.
Tomahawk cruise missiles like these fired from U.S. and British ships and submarines. 25 warplanes off the aircraft carriers.
Control. Within weeks, the Patriot Act passed, giving the government unprecedented surveillance powers over citizens. Profit. Defense contractors, oil companies, and private military firms made trillions in the decades of war that followed. And then there's the eerie document from a think tank called PNAC Project for the New American Century. Just 1 year before 9/11, they wrote that America needed a new Pearl Harbor to justify expanding military power. A year later, they got one. To believers, the dots connect too neatly. To critics, it's offensive to suggest the US would harm its own people. But this theory refuses to die because every unanswered question makes it grow stronger. Theory 5. The money trail. Someone knew. They say money talks. And on 9/11, money screamed. In the days leading up to the attacks, unusual stock trades were placed against United Airlines and American Airlines, the very airlines hijacked. Traders bought huge amounts of put options, basically betting the stock would crash. When the attacks happened, those traders made millions. Coincidence? Maybe. The official investigation said nothing suspicious. But the timing is chilling. Some believe it wasn't just rogue traders, that powerful insiders, maybe even intelligence agencies, had advanced knowledge that someone knew 9/11 was coming, and instead of warning people, they cashed in. Theory 6. Bin Laden, mastermind, or patsy? Osama bin Laden, the face of evil after 9/11. But his role is more complicated than people remember. Immediately after the attacks, bin Laden publicly denied involvement. Then, months later, a video surfaces of him bragging about planning it. The problem? The tape was low quality. The man looked heavier. Even wearing jewelry bin Laden was never known to wear. Some called it a fake. A staged confession. Convenient proof to justify war. Bin Laden later did claim responsibility. But was he truly the mastermind? Or a figurehead? A scapegoat? Used to rally the world against one enemy? Theory 7. The War for Oil. Here's where conspiracy meets reality. 9/11 was used as the justification for invading Iraq, a country that had nothing to do with the attacks. No hijackers were Iraqi, no direct links to Al-Qaeda. And yet, the US toppled Saddam Hussein in 2003. Weapons of mass destruction? Never found. But oil? Iraq had plenty. Critics argue 9/11 wasn't just terrorism, it was the key to unlock wars for oil, contracts, and resources, to secure pipelines, to control the Middle East. Whether you call it coincidence, strategy, or conspiracy, the outcome speaks for itself. Oil companies and defense contractors profited like never before. Theory 8. Foreign involvement, ignored warnings, shadow players. Finally, the shadow theories. Some claim foreign intelligence agencies like Mossad, Saudi Arabia's services, or even Pakistan's ISI had knowledge of the attacks. Some suggest warnings were given and ignored. Others argue Saudi connections were buried. After all, 15 of the 19 hijackers were Saudi. Yet the US invaded Iraq instead, and pages of the 9/11 report dealing with Saudi Arabia were kept classified for years. None of these claims are proven. Many are debunked, but the secrecy, the classified documents, and the unanswered questions only fuel suspicion. These theories range from eerie coincidences to chilling possibilities. Some are flat out false, others may hold grains of truth, but all of them keep one thing alive: the mystery of 9/11. What can't be denied is the legacy. Airports changed forever, privacy gone, trillions spent, generations scarred by war. But the deepest wound may be this: trust. Trust in leaders. Trust in the story we were told. Trust in the idea that we know the truth. Because the truth about 9/11 is this: maybe we don't know the whole truth at all.
I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
So what do you believe? Was 9/11 exactly as history books say? Or was it something darker, something bigger, something we're still not ready to face? Comment below with your thoughts. Hit the like button if you stayed with me through this deep dive. And subscribe if you want more truths, more mysteries, and more questions. To the victims and heroes of 9/11, may they rest in peace, and may we never stop searching for answers. Goodbye for now.